everyone, Katie here from Thrift Your Heart Out, and I am so excited to bring you today's video, which is going to be all about Poshmark. I know you guys have heard me rave about this app. I've talked about it on Instagram, I've talked about it here on my videos. I'm just straight up obsessed with it, and I thought it was time to spread the gospel with all of you and give you 10 tips for success in the Poshmark world. So I'm really stoked for this one. I have made a little bit of money, not a ton, but a little bit of money just by doing this on the side since last summer, I want to say is when I got started. And honestly, it's just a lot of fun. It's a way to share your items from your closet or things that you come across while thrifting with an entire range of people from all across the nation that are shopping your closet to find really good deals. And you better believe I shop on the app too. Like, I'm addicted both ways to selling and buying. So let's get into it. I'm gonna share a little demo with you first, just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. So I'll just kind of walk you through the basics, what it's all about, and then we'll get into the tips for how to become successful on Poshmark. So let's get to it. So this is what your feed looks like when you open the app. It shows items people in your network have shared, brands you can search, and suggested users. You can also search for specific items that you want to add to your wardrobe. I've been obsessed with getting a denim dress, and I happened to find this amazing Madewell dress in my feed. As you can see, there are multiple pictures of the item for sale, as well as a stock photo of the dress. On any item, you can either make an offer on it, or you can just purchase it outright. I'm gonna have to think about this one for sure. Next is the news area, which lets you know who's followed you, who's liked your items, and any other info related to your closet. You can also like items, which saves them for you. I think that 9 West bag is cute, so I'm going to go ahead and hit like on it. Now you'll see it's been added to my page of liked items, so I can easily find it if I decide to buy it later. I wanted to make sure to share my closet with you, and this is what it looks like. You can always find me at Katie's_shop. So tip number 1 is going to be to do your research. You guys had better believe that I'm the girl in the thrift store that I think I found a really good item, but I pull off to the side in a quiet area and I'm on my phone furiously looking through Google, looking through Poshmark, eBay, trying to get as much information as I can about the brand and trying to see what the resale value is to see if it's worth my money and time to pick that item up to try to resell it later. You'll start to learn more and more brands and see what has really good resale value, what really doesn't, because man, there are a lot of brands out there, and some you just know right away are the ones that you should always go for if you find them in the thrift stores, and then some you'll learn are just not worth it even though they sell for a really big amount of money in the stores regularly. So that's tip number 1, do your research. Let's take this workout top for example. I know Under Armour is a decent brand, but I'm not familiar with the specifics of their styles. To start, I search keywords like the brand, quarter zip, women's, and tie-dye. A lot of results pop up, and there's one that looks quite similar to what I have, but it's not quite right, so I know I need to keep searching. I keep scrolling, and lo and behold, I end up coming across one that looks just like the one that I have. I click on it because it's from Under Armour, which gives me the title and any other pertinent information that I might need. Also, see how it says that it's currently sold out? That's actually a good thing because that means that people will be looking elsewhere to get it. There's also information about the fabric and fit as well as a sizing chart. This is all great information that will help me list it. You'll also want to take the time to look up the price others are selling your item for on Poshmark currently. So under the same search terms, just click shopping and scroll until you see something similar. I happened to find the same top in a zebra print, and it looks like someone is currently selling it on Poshmark for $35. So I should aim to keep my price around that mark to be competitive. Now you'll see the Under Armour piece in my closet. I've included views of the top that I have along with a stock photo and information from the website. Also, I decided to list it at $30. Next is to look over your item thoroughly. You guys want to see if there are any stains or tears or rips in the fabric that your buyer might need to be aware of, and to be 100% honest when you're listing your item, because you don't want the buyer to dispute it later and actually return the item, because they can do that on Poshmark if you aren't honest or don't notice something on a piece of clothing and the buyer receives it and they say, hey, this actually has pilling or this has a tear in the fabric that I wasn't expecting. They can actually file a dispute, send the item back, and you don't get your money. So that's not good. So you definitely want to look everything over really, really well and just be upfront about it if you do have a flaw in the fabric. Take for instance this pink gingham blouse that I just found by Sea Wonder, which is a pretty decent brand. It's 100% silk, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so darn cute, but it actually had a big stain on the front. So on my listing, I added a picture of the stain and wrote any pertinent notes in the description so that the buyer fully understands what they're getting. Tip number 3 is to include as much information as possible in your description of your listing. And the reason for this is so that you answer questions before they even arise from your buyers. So if you already have the brand, material, measurements listed of an item, then you don't have to worry about answering questions about them later. So it's going to take a little more research, but I promise it's all worth it. This is a Catherine Malandrino dress that I currently have up in my closet. You'll see again I have the stock photo, views of the dress from front and back, and close-ups of the item. I also added a picture of the label, which doesn't have a size tag, so it's imperative to add measurements including the waist and chest and length so that buyers know exactly how it's going to fit when they get it. Measurements are also really important for vintage items since the sizing is so different. I currently have this Jordache skirt in my closet that didn't have any kind of a size tag, so I had to make sure to include waist and length measurements and estimated the size that it would equate to today so that shoppers could easily search for it. The next tip is to style each of your items and to be consistent across the board with everything that's in your Poshmark closet. The way you should think about it is that your closet is like a little store and you want to entice people to shop in it. So the better an item looks, even if it's just hanging on a hanger or laid down on the ground, if you kind of take the time to style it up a little bit, jazz it up a little, the chances are you're gonna make more sales. So personally what I do is use a foam core that's covered in marble contact paper and a bundle of fake flowers just as a backdrop for all of my close-ups, and I love how it looks and it makes it really easy to make it consistent with every photo. Also, I use an app called A Beautiful Mess to edit my photos. I use the same filter on all of my pictures, which brightens them up and helps to keep everything uniform in my closet. So tip number 5 is to price your items a little bit higher than what you're actually willing to let them go for. And the reason for this is because we want to allow a little extra wiggle room for your buyer to make an offer on an item so that you can have some room to negotiate with them. Because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get an offer. People rarely just buy the item at the price it's listed. I wish it could be that way, but that's actually kind of part of the fun is making an offer on something. So you want to make sure to leave some wiggle room with your pricing. And then also, if you price it a little bit higher than what you actually want it to go for, that allows you to price drop. So if you price drop by 10%, your people who have liked an item will be notified that the item has dropped in price, and they'll actually get discounted shipping for like an hour. So it's a really great enticing tool to get them to actually like pull the trigger and buy the item. So make sure to leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to pricing. So that brings me to tip number 6, which is not immediately to hit decline when someone makes a low offer on an item. And this does happen, and trust me, there are lowballers out there that will come in at like half of the value. So say I had something listed for 40, they come in at 20, and it's kind of like, we can bring that up a little bit. So sometimes you can negotiate with them, they can come up, you can come down and meet in a happy medium. But sometimes they're just there to buy something really, really low, and it's okay to say no to those people. But I remember literally, I think the very first offer that I got on Poshmark back when I very first started, it was an offer, and it was a pretty decent offer now looking back on it, but I was like, oh, they're not gonna pay what I put it on there for. I don't need to waste my time with this. And I hit decline, and now looking back on it, it's like, duh, you could have come in with a counter offer and see if they would have gone for that. So make sure to leave yourself that room to kind of mess around with the numbers, see how you feel with going a little bit lower so that your buyer can end up happy and you can end up with some money in your pocket. So the next tip is to consider offering a bundle discount on the items in your closet. And what you can actually do through your seller tools is offer up to 30% off of 7 or more items, which is good if you have a large volume and a lot of things to choose from in your closet. But what I personally do is offer 10% off of 2 or more items in my closet, which actually shows up at the bottom of every listing. So this is going to be very enticing for your buyer if they're looking around your closet and they see a lot of things that they're interested in. They can bundle it, get that extra discount, and then you've made a couple of extra sales. So think about it. Don't you love sales on top of sales when you can use coupons at a thrift store? It's kind of amazing, and your buyer's gonna love it too. So next is to make sure that you are answering questions promptly. Even though you do your research and you try to include as much information as you can in the description for each item, like I told you, people are still gonna have questions. That's just kind of the nature of this kind of app. So you wanna make sure that you are replying kindly and promptly to each of them, because I know that I've actually been discouraged from buying from someone because they never got back to my question. So tip number 9 is a fun one, and that is to decorate each of your buyer's items before you ship them out. So what I do to achieve this is keep some colorful tissue paper, ribbon, and sweet little thank you notes on hand that I can easily put together and put into each package. And it just makes me so happy knowing that I put a smile on my buyer's face. So that brings us to tip number 10, and that's going to be to spread the love and make sure that you are buying from Poshmark. You guys had better believe I am buying quite a bit from that app because it's so nice to connect with other sellers, see what's out there, and add things to my closet that I've had my eye on for a while. So case in point, I actually purchased this Kate Spade phone case recently. I fell in love with it, I made an offer, and I got it, and it seriously makes me happy every single day. So make sure that you're shopping other closets and making purchases from Poshmark too. So that's gonna do it for all of my Poshmark tips, but before I go, I wanna make sure to share with you guys that everybody who uses Poshmark, buyer, seller, whatever, everybody gets a unique discount code that you can share with others when they are going to be starting their own Poshmark closet. So I'm going to leave mine right here for you so that you can use it and actually get $5 off of your first purchase. And this isn't unique to me, every single person gets it, and when you start your closet, you'll get one too that you can share with others. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed seeing my Poshmark tips for success, and if you have any other questions, please make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer them. And as always, thanks for watching and happy thrifting!